Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is a new video series called Three Things We Need to Know Right Now. And in it, we want you to hear straight from the experts on a variety of topics in their own words about what you need to know right now. My name is Jennifer Best. I am the head of marketing at All American Entertainment, also known as AAE, Speakers Bureau. We work with event professionals and meeting organizers to book celebrities, entertainers, and speakers for events and conferences. So today I am speaking with Jenny Evans. Jenny is a keynote speaker, author, and on-air expert on resiliency, stress, confidence, and human performance. She's the founder and CEO of Powerhouse Performance and author of the award-winning book, The Resiliency Revolution, Your Stress Solution for Life, 60 Seconds at a Time. Working with thousands of C-suite executives, leaders, and employees worldwide, Jenny helps audiences tap into their personal power and confidence, as well as learn how to increase their capacity for stress and to recover from it more quickly and effectively. Jenny has spoken on the TEDx stage, blogged for the Huffington Post, and was an NBC health and fitness expert for over 4 years. She has been quoted on NPR, in Health Magazine, and Women's Health, while being showcased on sites including Fast Company, Inc., Entrepreneur, Shape, and Elle. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's so good to be here.
I'm so glad to get to chat with you again. So what is the latest and greatest from your part of the world?
Things are busy, which has been awesome. I sometimes kind of hate to say it because it's good that I'm busy, but it's bad that people are so stressed. So I am just doing my best to help people go from feeling overworked, overwhelmed, overstressed to on fire, on purpose, on their game, being adaptable, doing lots of virtual. And really, I don't think there's any sector of business that, the last 18 months hasn't affected. So I've been working with US Bank, with Kraft Heinz, with Comcast, CVS, tech companies. It's been a busy time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's unfortunate that there's no shortage of stress right now.
I know.
We're about 18 months now into a pandemic, and aside from the other world issues that go on every single day in the news, I imagine you must be pretty busy. So thank you again. I also want to start off by encouraging our audience to follow Jenny on social media. Jenny creates really great videos that are really informative, but also entertaining. So check those out after this video if you get a chance. So let's dig in for a second into our topic today, managing stress. So I can speak for a lot of us out here. We are attempting to handle a whole lot of stress these days. Sometimes it really can feel overwhelming and physically painful for us. I can't wait to hear what you're about to share with us. So starting off, what is the first thing we need to know about managing stress?
Yeah, the first thing is that our stress is not really a psychology problem. It is a chemistry problem. So stress produces a hormone called cortisol, which, massively changes our chemistry and our physiology. It brings a very old primitive part of our brain online that I like to call our caveman brain, or Sneaky Pete. And Sneaky Pete is hardwired to be negative, defensive, to always be focused on the problems instead of the solution. He completely hates change. So I tell people, you know what, if you've really been struggling these last 18 months, it actually means your body and brain is doing its job. It's not a personality flaw. It's not your fault. And that there are ways that we can change our chemistry from stressed back to more of an ideal state so that we don't have those negative psychological side effects to be dealing with. Because most oftentimes the conversation around stress is, let's give you some cognitive stress management techniques. Mm-hmm. But in the throes of stress, we don't even have access to that part of our brain. It's the primitive caveman brain who's just negative and reactive. So I'm all about, let's change your chemistry first so that you actually have access to your advanced brain where some of those psychological techniques. So I kind of teach a 1-2 punch of, first, we're going to correct and optimize your chemistry, and then we will correct and optimize your psychology.
Well, I think this may have surprised some of our audience. I know a lot of people associate stress with psychology and not chemistry. Yeah. And I think psychology holds the answer to managing their stress. So this is really super interesting to hear your perspective on this. So what would you say is the second thing we need to know about managing stress?
A lot of us are feeling really burned out, and
Mhm.
there really is a biological component to this. So, with all of the stress that we've been under for the past 18 months, that increases the demands on our energy. I mean, we're constantly having to change, to juggle, to adapt. We're working from home, we're homeschooling kids, we're taking care of our parents, we're not sleeping. So, it's depleting our energy. And so, I'm teaching people of like part of burnout is making sure that you're recovering your energy periodically throughout the day. So, physically, how are you recovering your energy? What about emotionally? What about mentally? What about spiritually? And also, there's a difference between high quality energy recovery and low quality energy recovery. I mean, for a lot of us, our biggest sources of energy recovery are sleep. And a lot of us have been struggling with sleep, but we can thank cortisol for that. Exercise is actually energy recovery. Well, for a long period of time, like we couldn't leave our houses, we couldn't, go to our places of exercise. Social connection is energy, nutrition is energy. So we've all had a hard time with these sources of energy recovery that we used to have that we didn't have access to, or we started going to these low quality sources of energy recovery of like those comfort foods or beverages or just like binge watching our favorite shows. So when we're using high quality energy recovery, I like to tell people that it's active, it's more intentional, and it's more restorative. So for example,
Mhm.
how do you feel after like 10 minutes of meditation versus 3 hours of watching Netflix? There's a
Yeah.
difference in energy. I will say there are those points in time where 3 hours of Netflix is exactly what we need, but there are other more high quality, restorative, effective ways of recovering our energy so that we're just not feeling so exhausted and burned out.
That is so very true. Thinking
Because what
about the other night, sitting and watching hours and hours of Netflix, thinking I was unplugging and relaxing. And I probably should have spent 10 minutes meditating instead of the 3 hours on Netflix. But sometimes it is not kind of worth it. I mean, I think
you
there's just
know,
so many people that are
yeah,
burnt out right now, really.
yeah. And it's
There's a
hard.
lot.
Yeah, Jennifer, and it's almost like the snake eating its tail. When we're not recovering our energy, then we feel really exhausted. So we're not even motivated. Like there's probably that part of our brain that's like, I know I should do something that's healthier for me right now, but I just can't. Like literally, I just want the lowest common denominator.
Mhm.
But that unfortunately then keeps us in that cycle of not having quality energy. And when we're feeling burned out, it's really hard to deal with stress effectively and it's hard to be resilient.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is hard to break that cycle, and I'm hoping that maybe you might have some tips for us today
For
on that
sure.
one. So let's
Yeah.
go into what's the third thing we need to know right now about managing stress.
Yeah. I like to teach people a series of micro strategies to optimize your chemistry and your psychology. So, change creates stress. And then when the stress response is triggered, Sneaky Pete comes on board. That's the primitive caveman brain who doesn't like change. He's really, really lazy. He loves habit and routine. So I think sometimes when we realize, like, okay, I got to get it together, I need to make some changes, we get really excited and we try to make these massive changes that create stress, and then Sneaky Pete digs his heels in. So I tell people, like, we actually have to make change so easy that a caveman could do it. So I have a whole series of what I call micro strategies, small, simple things that we can oftentimes do in 60 seconds or less
Oh, great.
that change our chemistry and change our psychology. So some examples of one of the micro strategies I share is a micro burst. So stress really is the fight or flight response. And for our ancestors, that meant they actually did fighting or fleeing. It was a short burst of intense physical activity. So based on our biology, when we get a short burst of intense physical activity, it actually burns off those stress hormones like cortisol. And then we get things that I just call the bliss molecules. We get endorphins, endocannabinoids. Yes, that's a cannabis-like substance that changes our chemistry. And it only takes 30 to 60 seconds of this short burst of physical activity. Micro beliefs is another one. Like getting clear on our sense of purpose and beliefs really is essential for resilience. But when we talk about, what is my life's purpose? That's a big, overwhelming question. So the way that I like to shrink it down is to ask people, what do you believe? What do you know to be true? Like your fundamental truths about life. And when we get clarity on those, it gives us a tremendous amount of clarity as to who and what should get our energy and who and what shouldn't. Our beliefs actually transcend every area of our life. So it's not like I have a purpose at work and then I have a purpose at home. Our beliefs are everywhere. And when we really tap into our beliefs, it inspires us to take action. Like, we're going to take risk. We are going to put ourselves out there. We are going to be accountable. We are going to get things done. Another micro strategy that I talk about is how much our environment actually influences our choices and our behaviors. And willpower is actually a horrible tool for making change. So if we create a microclimate of what I call optimal defaults, these are just little tweaks to your environment that unconsciously nudge you into desired behaviors that are better for your resiliency, your performance, or your health. So an example, a lot of us kind of have been struggling from a nutrition perspective, myself included, because the chemistry of stress affects us all. An optimal default, they found that if you switch from eating off a 12-inch dinner plate down to a 10-inch dinner plate, you will unconsciously eat about 20% less. But if we put less food on a big plate, primitive caveman brain is like, I see what you're doing here. You're trying to put us on a diet, and we're not hardwired to do that. So tweaks around productivity, focus, getting better sleep, getting more movement that are just really unconscious. And it's not about trying to overcome inertia, trying to use self-discipline or willpower. It just creates more stress. And when we sort of like kind of fall down on these changes that we want to make, well, then that creates even more stress because then we feel like a failure. And I'm all about like, okay, we're just going to stop the madness. We're just going to make this so simple and easy. The last thing that people need are more things on their to-do list.
That is so true. I think that everybody now has seen why our clients love to bring Jenny to their events. I mean, Jenny, you could take a challenging topic like the physiology behind stress and make it practical and tactical so that any of us can do this ourselves. And that's just part of the magic, I think, that you bring to the stage. And I think that I want to thank you for that. As somebody who is, a recovering couch potato, I think that hearing that in 60 seconds, I can reframe and I can make small strategic improvements feels a lot more manageable to me than having to take on some initiative. That's when Netflix starts calling down the hall. So
I know, yeah. I know. But that's why I love doing what I do of like, I'm just a curious learner and I love psychology and I love physiology, but I also love having fun. So how do you take the science, but like, let's have fun and let's make it infinitely approachable and doable. And, as I go through my content, I'm actually having people create their own really series of action plan of like, how are you going to incorporate these micro strategies? So at the end of our time together, people walk away feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. Nobody's ever explained it this way before. I'm actually excited because this is not going to be hard at all.
Yeah, this is just fantastic today. I mean, I hope that everybody who's watching today can take something they've learned away from this and can implement some change and get that caveman to stop nagging you and just tell him to be quiet and make some impactful changes. It looks like we're not quite out of the woods yet with our pandemic. And then there's always changes that happening in the world today and in personal lives. So this is really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Jenny. I want to thank you for sharing your 3 things with us today. We really can't underestimate the impact stress has on our quality of life. And we know that addressing burnout and managing stress are things we can definitely improve. And so it's something we can manage ourselves too. And I think that's really what you've helped us to see today. I am sure everybody learned a lot. And my hope is that everybody is better prepared to handle stress in their daily lives going forward. It's been such a pleasure to work with you both for the series as well as a keynote speaker for our clients. So thank you. To book Jenny for an upcoming event, visit the link in our description below. Check her out on aaespeakers.com. We will also be sure to share a link to Jenny's book, The Resiliency Revolution, in our show notes. And with that, thank you so much. Be sure to check out Jenny on social media. We'll drop some of those channels into our show notes as well. So on behalf of everybody here at All American Entertainment, I want to thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.